Here we are in Radio Metroplex. I am Dr. D in Facturando Tu Historia, which I also consider Power Talk, where I interview entrepreneurs around the world who are amazing and who have a story to share so that we can inspire, motivate, and give confidence to people so that they can take that next step and for them not to give up at all. Today with me, we're going to have two amazing speakers. One of them is my amazing friend and partner that they're going to be coming online right now. So what I'm going to ask all of you, my friends, if you're watching now, either live or in the replay, for you to share this link so that we can really get our message out and really encourage and inspire people that are probably struggling a little bit. Okay? So give us a minute. We're going to put some beautiful music that we're going to start sharing in every show that we have.
Donna and Joe.
Sí. Yeah.
Eso lo mandé, pero vamos a ver que se conecten. So podemos ir al público que se conectan.
Yeah, we're just going to be listening to some music right now, so just listen to the amazing bachata. It's bachata time.
Ahí está ya. Sí, queremos más clientes para los negocios. Aplausos para Donna.
We have Donna here with us. Yay, Donna. Woo! Thank you, Donna.
Now we listen.
Yes. Hey, Donna. I am so delighted that you are here on Radio Metroplex. Radio Metroplex is in the city of Arlington, Texas. It is the capital of sports, events, and entertainment. And we also have Radio Metroplex. Facturando Tu Historia here on the show every Friday at 5 p.m. Central. And what we do, Donna, is that I always have this show because I truly believe that there's a lot of people that might be in some dark place, some dark moment. And what I want to do with guests like you is to be able to inspire, encourage, motivate, and tell people, hey, there is light at the end of the tunnel so we can keep going with our messages, with our story. So I want to tell people and welcome Donna. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
I want to tell people how we met, Donna.
Go for it.
I met Donna in Ireland. We went to Ireland and we met in a castle. So it was remarkable. And let me tell you, I was looking through my emails and deleting emails, and then I see an email. Do you want to go to a castle? And I'm like, castle? That sounds exciting. So I said yes to it, contacted Shelly, and then met Donna. We both were in alignment with almost the same message about, having some type of revolution, reforming the educational system, and then here we are today. In fact, we just came back from Las Vegas, right, Donna?
We sure did.
And we were promoting Ed Valores, which is a collaborative book. And it was a remarkable experience because we had people at our table constantly asking about what we were doing. And our goal, let's tell them, our goal was 5 to 10 people, and then we maxed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are at 25 people right now.
You know what? We're at, I think, 27 by today. So
Is that not including us?
not including us. I just spoke to another lady, and she said yes, and then I have one more person to kind of final up. But I'm so excited. So Donna, tell people who you are and what you do, and then we're gonna get to Joe.
All right. So I'm Dr. Donna Valise, and I actually have two roles. One, I run my own business called Inspiring Leaders LLC, and I focus on working with instructional educational leaders in the educational field to coach them and make sure that they can be their very best that they can be, because we need really strong leaders in education. And so that's one piece of my work. And through that work as well is where we're also building this collective of people who are doing innovative things in the educational space right now and have a vision for what education needs to look like, because education has not kept up with the fast pace of the change that's been happening in the world the past 2 decades, really. Um, and so the other part of my role and what I do is that I am a director of learning and continuous improvement for Green Central School District, which is up here in upstate New York. And it's just a small little rural district. Um, yeah, so I do everything teaching and learning. So anyone who wants to geek out on education with me and learning and how people learn and what things should look like and what you wish the educational system had, I'm your girl.
Yes, she is. And that's why we've connected, and I am so happy. Also, at this event, we were in Las Vegas and we were signing up people, and we met an extraordinary person. His name is Dr. Joe Griffin. Dr. Joe Griffin, thank you for saying yes and being part of our Ed Matador collaborative book and becoming an Ed Matador. So thank you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh wow, thank you, Dr. D. Hello to you, Donna, as well, Dr. D. I am Dr. Joe Griffin, Joe Griffin Global Consulting LLC. It's indeed an honor, part of the collaborative book venture. I thank you for offering the opportunity. That's definitely going to give us a chance to get out the many different educational approaches that we may have. I am from Clarksdale, Mississippi, originally, which is the home of the blues. So the story in itself for another day. But I currently live in North Hollywood, California, where I am the president and CEO of my consulting company. I do speaking, professional development for teachers, leaders, as well as in service for students and that type of thing. So I like get in where I finished. I had a number of school turnarounds in Mississippi, and I also had an opportunity to assist here in California in turnarounds as I prepare myself to go into business full time. So I'm just thankful for everything. I did my undergraduate work at Kahoma Community College, also in Clarksdale, and at Belhaven University in Jackson, Mississippi. It's a liberal arts. And I was able to go to those schools and major in English on basketball, as well as academic scholarships that propelled me. Jumped into a teaching and coaching and educational career that led me into administration. And that's where I got my jump start and was able to get into leadership. And I started coaching the entire schools and instructional practices. That's my foundation. Uh, but the discipline culture plus instructional practices equals performance, and that creates the DIP approach for educators. It's part of a two-piece model, DIP approach for student and adult success. They both are SEL laced and based programs, systems, strategies with full alignment is going to help any educational school system do what they need to do to help schools, students, teachers perform at higher levels. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I mean, it's a lot of information, but I think that our experience has brought us together, right? Your experience, Donna's experience, and mine, and all these other 26 amazing co-authors that we're bringing in. I think that we're creating more than just a book. We are creating a movement to revolutionize the educational system, and so that we can share ideas and share our message, so that um, hopefully we can really make a difference in the educational system. In this show, what I really want to focus on, and the reason I created the show is because I want to be able to tell us a story. How did you get to where you are today because of a challenge that you had in life? And I'm going to give you an example of how I started in education. I'm Latina, Mexican. I was born from monolingual Spanish-speaking home. So I moved to Chicago where we only spoke English. That's all they taught. I was so lost in school, had no idea what I was doing. I think they pulled 5 or 6 of us that only spoke Spanish. They pulled us out. We were from all different grade levels, and all we did that I remember was color. We did connect the dots. We did puzzles. So they treated us more as if we had some type of disability rather than teaching to our needs. So by the time I graduated not knowing how to write. I really didn't know how to read. I felt something was wrong with me. I felt different. And I always wondered during my whole education, it was like, why is Johnny over there? Why is Mary over there? I'm just making up names here. Why are they learning and not me? Right. So I had that wondering and curiosity, and I said, I want to know why. So what happened is I continued my education. I went to college, um, and I even got my doctorates and worked on my dissertation. And my study was really learning on human development and understanding the learning theories. Because I struggled, I wanted to figure out why are students struggling, other students struggling as well, right? Mine was language-based struggle, and then I know other kids have some disabilities. So I became a director of special education and started to work with that specific population. I was a director for about 19 years in curriculum with a specialization in special education, but curriculum and inclusion. So here I am now today. I'm a publisher. I was an awful writer, and now I'm publishing books and I'm editing chapters, and I was able to get over the hump of struggle, right? So that's a story that I'm sharing today because I would like you to come up with a story, something similar as to what was your struggle and then how did you get here. So Donna, do you want to start or
Sure.
or
Sure. Yeah. So you really just shared your leadership story and how you rose up to where you are. And so mine started very young. I had a bit of a challenging childhood, and I'll just leave it at that. We don't need to go into details because everybody has their own challenges. Um, and my grandparents, I spent a lot of time at my grandparents' house. They cared a lot for me quite frequently, and I had this big chalkboard that was my great grandmother's from, I don't even know how she acquired it, but it was down in her basement. I used to play school. I'd bring all my papers home and I would set them up and I would play school. So I had this fascination with school. I just loved school. As I got older, and I always took care of my siblings after school. I was a real latchkey kid. Um, and my siblings and I, um, all of us except for one of us, we all could just kind of flip through our notes, go and take our tests, and get an A. But my brother, Dan, he'll probably kill me for using his name, but it is what it is. Um, he was just as intelligent as us, and I would help him study, and we would study for hours going through his stuff, and he'd know it pat, he'd go to school and he'd fail the test. And he'd come home all deflated. And I would quiz him on the things that he got wrong and he knew them. And so I used to think there's got to be a different way to do this. And my dad, like I think about my dad and his experience with school. He's one of the smartest men I know. And I think he was just a hellion in school, and the teachers probably just graduated him just to get rid of him, right? Because he always caused so much trouble. And I always wish, like, what I always think, what could have happened if someone had actually recognized how darn intelligent he was, right? How smart he was. If they had just taken that him under their wing, he probably would be solving some of the world's biggest engineering problems right now because he's brilliant. Um, and then fast forward even further, my own son absolutely hated school. He hated it. He was so disengaged. And I had to learn, okay, what would you tell your own students if they were so adamant that school just didn't make sense, and it didn't make sense that you had to learn all of these things that you're never going to learn again? So he was completely disengaged, and the only thing that helped him was a career and tech program in automotive. Like, I that is the only reason I think he made it through high school. And I prayed every day that he would not drop out, that I would have at least a high school graduate, and he doesn't want to go to college or whatever. So those are people in my life that are really pivotal in me becoming an educator and the educator that I am. Um, so, I pursued going into education. I have my master's, or my bachelor's degree is in elementary education. Master's degree is in education and integrating technology into the curriculum, back from 2004. And now I have a PhD in curriculum and instruction. And basically, what I've learned through my own teaching experiences, my own research, and all of that is that we are not utilizing the strategies that really help kids learn. Kids have to go to school, they file into school, they sit at their desks, and they listen to teachers drone on and on and on all day long. And we as adults can't even do that. I feel bad that you're all sitting here listening to me and I can't engage you because I can't see you. I can't see all of our listeners, and that makes me feel guilty, right? Because that's the type of educator I was. I was always getting kids actively engaged in what they were doing and helping them understand why they were doing it. And that's really missing in our systems. So I know that we can do better. We still have kids falling through the cracks. Some of our most brilliant students are the ones who are the most disengaged, and those are the ones. Some of them are the ones that end up in our prisons because they have been so disengaged. And I could go on and on, but we need to change what we're doing. We're not keeping up. We're not even using over a century of research on how people learn to engage our kids, and our society needs something different.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of changes that need to be made, and that's why we started this book, um, movement, or this Ed Matados movement. And then now we have Dr. Joe Griffin. Like, well, what was your experience growing up, and what's your story? How?
Well,
What brought you to this place now?
okay. Well, like I originally stated, I'm from Clarksdale, Mississippi. It's the home of the blues, and it's the home of the blues for a reason. Things, violence, racial tension, drugs run rampant in one of the most impoverished areas of America to this day. And seeing that from a single parent, where my mom did all she could. She was a school teacher, but she did all she was a school teacher, but she did all she could to put me in positions so that I could be successful. And one of the great things that she did, she paid me to read books from the age of about 8 to about 13. And I can say that that was the enlightenment, what I need to do. And the framework, discipline instructional practices equals performance. It also has a very personal meaning behind it. I got in trouble in school. Second grade, I wrote a note to the teacher, told him, do not whip my child anymore, in a crayon and signed my mother's name. Fourth grade, I threatened a teacher. Sixth grade, I got into a fight in the classroom. Seventh and eighth grade, multiple times in the same period. All this time, I still was able to do my schoolwork, but I couldn't make the honor roll because of conduct back in those times up to about the range when you go to middle school. So I continued to go through things, and I eventually latched on to sports, which was basketball for me, and it helped me to stop getting in trouble in school. It helped me to be able to focus in on my visions and my goals. And through it, I was able to continue to build up my learning. After graduating college, and a coach, and I was able to transfer that knowledge to students, and we were able to do some great things within those first few years of teaching. And during this time, there were always constant battles, even as an adult, profile situations that you oftentimes can't control, especially as a black man in the world. There are struggles that we sometimes have to go to, may not have to go through, but we wouldn't understand because they hadn't had to sit in those shoes. To continue to push, to put myself in a situation where I was able to get numerous degrees at high levels, at great institutions. I mastered at Delta State University. I specialized as well as got my other Mississippi. We don't give them away there. I know that being able to come through where I've come from, I can give that to other people because they have to be able to see their visions as well and able to accomplish, being able to stay focused, continue to push, trying to be able to transfer that to as many people as possible. That's students as well as educators, but there's also youth and adults in the world as well. So because everyone is not a student, but at the same time, all those principles that we have come together to form our dreams, to form our hopes, our aspirations that's going to allow us to push ourselves to new and next level. So that's a short version, but I mean, there's a lot of pain in my story, but I've overcome a lot of it as well. I was able to bridge that gap with my father. I started reaching out as a teenager, and today we're close. We have a wonderful relationship, and those types of things affect educational processes and the path that you get on, that you take. All those things have helped shape who I am, where I am, and where I'm going. Thank you for that question.
Thank you. I love it. I love that. There's another friend and co-author that's been in some of these books. We've published 100 Successful Women Around the World. I just finished, and this one's fresh out of the oven. It's called Dare to Be Me Through Cancer. And there's a lot of other authors that I've engaged with, but one of them, her name is Dr. Amber, and I'm going to send you a hug, Dr. Amber, because I'm going to use your phrase. She says that we need to move people from pain to purpose. Even if we are in pain, how can we take them from pain to actually achieving a higher purpose and intention? And that's exactly what this show is about. For those of you that are listening, I have with me Dr. Donna Vallesin, I have with me Dr. Joe Griffin. We are all going to be part of Et Matador, a collaborative book that's going to be published and launched in November. So we are so excited about this book. We have more than a book, we have a movement so that we can revolutionize the educational system. And we are here on Radio Metroplex every Friday at 5 p.m. Central. My show is called Facturando Tu Historia, meaning profit from your story, or in other terms, I used to have power talk, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're having powerful conversations to inspire and motivate people that listen to the show, and we tell stories. And one of the other stories that I need to share today is an intervention, and that's what I want you to share, Dr. Donna and Dr. Joe. My story on intervention was back when I was teaching middle school. The principal had lost her assistant principal and made me her master reading teacher. And then she asked me to mentor and coach her teachers. So what we did, it wasn't any program, it wasn't anything that we implemented. But what I did implement with the whole campus, our scores at the time here in Texas, we had something called toss, which is a standardized test that students had to take and pass. And at that time, that's what they were taking. Their scores at that campus were like below 30s, 40s, science, social studies, super low. And what I did with all the teachers, we had communication. We came together. We had in reading, we did show and tell, we did plays, we read early in the morning. We were all in alignment of what was going to be taught, when, and how. And everybody was teaching it within their subjects. And at the end of the year, social studies was like at the 40s, and we ended up in the 90s. And I'm talking about TOS scores here. Just to give you the growth, measurement. And we were so excited. In English, I think we went up to 78. And reading, we were also up in the 80s. In my group, which was the little cluster that I had, all the students passed for the exception of maybe 4, but I got them from 20s to maybe 65 in their scores, and they were all very happy. We also had gangs there, poverty, very, Spanish-speaking community. So there was a lot of struggles in that community and that campus at that time, but we became very successful because I truly believe that what helped us, it wasn't a program, but it was getting in alignment with the same vision and mission, the same goals. We would meet weekly and we would say, okay, what was the focus of the week? And then we targeted as a campus. It wasn't somebody was doing something here, somebody doing something there. We were all together, even if it was in different subjects, but we all had a similar goal that we had to reach, and communication was key. So I'm just sharing the interventions that worked for me and what I'm going to kind of be sharing in the book. It's not completely what I'm going to be writing about, but I just want to share one intervention that worked for me. So if one of you, Dr. Joe, would you like to share your strategy and how you think that the system should be implementing some type of change or something that you've done in the past that you feel
Gladly,
works?
yeah, definitely. Thank you. That's what I do. That's been the crust of my career as a turnaround school principal. I come in and fix the school up, get the test scores up, get the team together, and put strategies that are going to help. So normally, time you go into a particular school, my main thing is when I started the intervention is we want to shape our vision up. We want to shape our vision up. We want to have the nature with the school, meaning that the teachers, the administrators, we all come together and create this vision, put on it, and it's going to be a year-to-year process. Staffs tend to change. Each year we need to revisit that. So we're going to then go from there and put in particular instructional strategies backed by a professional learning community to work on these instructional strategies, meaning that our PLC is going to be instructional. And I had an opportunity to turn around, like I said, 4 schools. One school in particular was a D. and we went up from a D to a B school history in 1 year. And many people thought that it was a fluke or that we were able to do it, but we maintained it for 3 out of the 4 years thereafter. And when I left that school, we were still a B, but we brought a team. We made everything was collaborative. We care about one another. That's why all of my programs and strategies, SEL based social emotional learning, is a real thing. And of course, it's coming from now, but building those relationships so that people can go beyond and do what they do on a job. Integrated leadership is what discipline calls, and it's the combination of transformational and instructional leadership strategies, because you need both. So discipline culture is defined as the collaborative way teachers and administrators handle discipline daily. It's twofold, and how that instructional strategies that teachers are willing and able to use. So collaboration between teachers and administrators on instructional strategies, if we're not having that same collaboration when we're dealing with the governance of the school on disciplinary issues and things of that nature, that's just not a real thing. I mean, that's very, very outdated. I don't use my influence to help bring you over. We can create an environment, use these interventions that make a difference. We're going to put these safety nets in place so that we can catch our students that are low performers, our mid-range performers, as well as our high performers. So keep the school running, keep the organization, got to have all those systems in place that touch everybody. And that's the main point of being able to reach all of your students, all of your staff, so that the school environment can.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Dr. Donna. Dr. Donna?
I got it. Okay. I have a couple things. First of all, turnaround leadership is one of the most challenging things you can do when you're an administrator, right? And there are not a lot of successful people out there who have been able to turn a school around. So, Dr. Joe, I'm so excited to be able to work with you, and I can't wait to learn even more about how you've been able to turn schools around and the results you've been getting. Before I became a principal, I was working at the Rhode Island Department of Education. So I was working with 56 school districts across the state and really implementing some great things. I've been so blessed to just really have incredible work opportunities and incredible colleagues and incredibly innovative models throughout my whole career to be able to see. So when I was working at the state, I had an opportunity to get trained in how to turn a school around, how to go into a school that the state had identified as failing and turn it around. So I was in a school in Providence, Rhode Island, working with a principal who successfully turned a school around. She was in her third year when I was working with her. So she had a school that was 42% special education, 14% ENL, 19%, 14% special ed, 87% free and reduced lunch, and 67% children of color. So very diverse, very poor, like kids coming from poor neighborhoods. And the way the school was structured, because of its layout, they were able to accommodate more special needs students. So that year, they started the year before I started there. They were identified as a failing school at 17% proficiency on state scores. Within 5 years, in implementing blended and personalized learning, wraparound supports, being a community school, and just an array of things that were able to support students and shift teacher practices. they were able to get students to 76% proficiency in 5 years. So that is a clear turnaround, and is very rare to see. I haven't found too many other people who've been able to do that. So that principal who was able to do that, I spent a year learning from her, and took those things to other places as well. So after I did that, I became a principal of a charter school for pregnant and parenting teens. I had two campuses, one in Providence, Rhode Island, one in Central Falls, Rhode Island. So here's where, when I think of education outside of the box, this is what I mean. So here we have students where 97% of our students were pregnant, parenting, high school dropouts, or tracked to drop out of high school. If you know anything about parenting, pregnant and parenting teens, more than 80% of them definitely drop out of high school. So those were our students. That was our target audience. And we had a couple students who the regular school just didn't work. They had a lot of anxiety, a lot of other issues. So we were a year-round school. We used competency-based grading for everything. So there were a series of competencies for every single course. We had wraparound supports, and we had people who would help our students get access to public funds and public programs so they could feed their families, feed their children, and whatnot. Well, this was not all only girls. There were boys in this school as well. There are fathers as well. Um, and so we were getting kids to graduate, and we had flexible scheduling. So if a student, if the baby was sick, mom could stay home with the baby, Zoom in. We were Zooming in, and I think this was even before Zoom. We had used other technology to video in to class. This was well before the pandemic. I'm talking 2014, 2015, 2016. Far before the pandemic, we were doing this. Students had access at home because we had little devices, wireless devices, that we were able to give the students so they had computer access at home and internet access at home. Our teachers would teach multiple, so like our math teacher might have a couple students in geometry, a couple students in algebra, and a couple students in calculus, all at the same time. But because we used a blended learning approach, students were still able to meet their coursework and do the coursework. Once they had met all of their competencies, they graduated. So it didn't matter what day of the year it was. We could hand a diploma out on December 3rd. We could hand a diploma out on April 27th. We could hand a diploma out on July 15th. It didn't matter what day. When you finished your competencies, you were handed your diploma. So you could now apply to college. You could now go get your job. We were actually changing lives, because without a diploma, life is a whole lot harder, and their lives were already hard because most of them came from inner city, from poverty. And and we used to actually tell the students there is no correlation between pregnancy and performance. Yes, pregnancy and parenting makes your job harder. It makes being a student harder, but there's no correlation about your ability to be able to actually mentally do it, right? And so we were figuring out ways to make that doable for our students. So when I bring up things that I've seen that are models in other places, this is the thing that drives me bonkers, absolutely bonkers. I'll be sitting in a meeting, and someone will be saying, "Oh, our kids can't do this and our kids can't do that." And I'm like, "Well, why don't we try X, Y, or Z? I've seen it work in these other schools." "Oh, we don't do things like that here." Drives me to drinking. We don't do things like that here. So I start asking why. Why not? Why not? And they go, "Oh, because," then you get all the reasons. Well, We can't do it because we just don't do things like that here. We can't do it because the state won't let us. Well, why won't the state let us? Have we ever asked the state? Have we ever tried to get, something from the state that, like, an exemption? Well, no, the state doesn't do things like that. Well, have we asked them? Well, no, we can't ask the state. Well, why not? And I keep drilling until finally they'll say, well, it's just a lot of work to do something like that. And so I'll say, oh, it's a lot of work to do something that I know works for kids because I've seen it work. Oh no, that's not what I said. That then they go, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Oh, and I just keep. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what you said. You don't want to do the hard work because I don't know why. I'm ready to do the hard work. And
Exactly.
so, yeah, so that's like when we created this Ed Matadores, this one book is just the beginning. It's just that base level. We're going to have a whole series of books, aren't we, Angelica?
Sure are. I mean, I am so excited that we even started. It's like just a stepping stone that we're taking because it's a big movement, and yet we always have to start somewhere, right? We have to start
Absolutely.
somewhere. So for those of you that are watching, if you have an idea in mind that you want to do something and you're overwhelmed with the idea because you think it's so big, we're here to tell you that you need to take a step. You see, like there's a saying, you need to eat an elephant in small bites. You know, you can't eat the whole elephant, but you can do it in small bites. The same thing with your idea. That's exactly what we're doing with Ed Matador. We're starting with a book collaborative, and we invited amazing authors that will be in this book, and Dr. Joe Griffin is one of them. And I am so excited because he's the first one on the show from the book. So yay for you!
Okay.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited that you're
Awesome.
here. Uh-huh. So thank you. I am gonna do a little commercial to if you can give me a minute. For those of you that are watching, if you know of any um, students that you feel that they're being bullied or they're the bully, you know, then, or if you are an adult and you want to get into martial arts, the Vasquez Jiu-Jitsu Academy is opening up in the area of Grand Prairie, or find a Jiu-Jitsu Academy in any place and start because they work with discipline and they get students and even the adults. You know, my kids do Jiu-Jitsu. In fact, that's their academy, and it helped them ever since they were young to now. So make sure that you connect with the Vasquez Jiu-Jitsu, which is Jorge Vasquez and Diego Vasquez. We also have the writer's flow. If you've ever wanted to write a book and you're like, oh my God, I don't know how, I don't know when, and you're just waiting and waiting and waiting, well, the opportunity is now because I have the 3-day writer's flow challenge that starts next week, the 21st through the 24th. It's an hour. It starts at 11 o'clock, and what you do is you connect with me via Zoom. And during that time, I tell you how to get started in writing either your journal, a chapter, or a book. Whatever questions you might have, you join me. So go ahead and send me a message, and I will tell you how to get started. It's absolutely free, so you have nothing to lose but show up and get started on writing your book. So, again, I know that, I mean, it seems like we just started the show, but we're very close to the hour. So, Dr. Griffin, where can people find you on social media?
Okay. Thank you. You can find me on social media at Facebook, Joe Griffin Global LLC. You can find me at also at the same Global Consultant LLC. You can find me at Instagram, Dr. Joe Griffin Speaks, Twitter, Dr. Griffin Speaks. Those are a good motive. If anyone is old school, my business line is 662-313-6018 or joe at drjoegriffenspeaks.com for email. Joe at drjoegriffenspeaks.com.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. And Dr. Donna, how can people reach you?
So I use LinkedIn and Facebook mostly, so you can search for my name, Donna Valise. You could also search for my company, Inspiring Leaders LLC. So those are two ways to do it. If you are interested in joining in on the conversation with Ed Matadors, we also have an online group that is it is on Mighty Network, so it's not even on social media. It is off of it. So it's a private group. If you want to join in on the conversation because you're a stakeholder in this, maybe you have kids who are struggling, maybe you're a teacher, maybe you are an administrator, maybe you run an organization that partners with schools or works with kids, and you have ideas on, or even want to learn more about how to improve our schools, then you can go to, it's www.leaders or edleadersnetwork.net. That's ed as in education, edleadersnetwork.net. You can join that group and join in on the conversation.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for saying yes. And then Donna, we're going to be seeing each other more and more. Hopefully you come back and you join me when other authors join me. And Dr. Griffin, we're going to see you in our orientation coming up, I think in a week. I think if I'm not mistaken, we're going to see you via Zoom. And again, I don't know if you have a message that you want to end with before we say goodbye to our audience.
I will end with our kids deserve better. Our kids deserve the best, and they are going to be the ones running our future. And if we don't prepare them, we're in trouble. So we really, really need to make changes in education. And we need to just suck it up and understand that things aren't working and just fix them. We have to be like Nike. Just do it.
Just do it. I like it. Yep. Dr. Griffin, do you want to end with a message?
Sure. I just want to tell all of the educators, especially as we educator focus today, continue to give your best. To give your best, work with one another. Students, give them an opportunity to learn and master the material, and make sure that you're intentional about the strategies that you use, that you purposely plan for the year. Don't settle for anything other than meeting your goals. Make sure that your kids are in situations that they can. Same thing with the adults that work with you. Push a positive environment. Initiate and invest. Push past pain. That's my message.
I love it. So we just want to thank all the listeners for joining, and of course we would love for you to keep connecting with us every Friday at 5 p.m. Central here on Radio Metroplex. It is in Arlington, Texas. It's the capital of sports, events, and entertainment, and that's where Facturando Tu Historia or Power Talk shows are held here every Friday at 5 p.m. Central. So what we're asking is for you to share, comment, ask questions, and connect with the amazing people that I interview. Today we had Dr. Donna Valese, who is also my business partner in this book. And then we had Dr. Joe Griffin, who is a co-author in the Ed Matadores. So we are delighted, we are happy that you are listening to this, and keep listening because we have stories that will inspire, motivate, and give you confidence to take that next step that you need to take. So thank you so much to all of you. you have an amazing evening, morning, or day, wherever you're at in the world. Thank you, guys. Have an amazing day.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See
And
you
if
all.
you could just, you can share. Thank you. Bye-bye.